Everyone, welcome back. We're going to do a deep dive today on mastering the future.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, we've got Conrad Reicher's book, Master the Future, Dominate Your Life with Foresight.
This is a good one.
Yeah, it's not just kind of like fluffy self-help. It really gets into like,
Oh, it's definitely action-oriented.
yeah, super practical advice and lots of real-world examples.
Exactly.
That's what we like.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that Reicher talks about is this concept of foresight.
Right.
And he makes this point that it's not just about predicting the future. It's more about like using this understanding to shape your destiny.
Yeah, like proactive. You're not just
Yeah, you're taking control.
sitting back.
Yeah, and he uses this great analogy.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, about climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't just start climbing without a plan, without the right gear.
Right. You got to prepare.
You got to know what you're getting into.
Absolutely.
And I thought it was fascinating how Reicher connects this whole idea of foresight back to civilizations and empire.
Oh, yeah, that historical perspective is so interesting.
Like the Roman Empire, he talks about their foresight in building roads and aqueducts.
Their infrastructure. It's amazing how that played a role in their dominance for so long.
Yeah, and then the founding fathers and how they crafted the Constitution to be adaptable.
Forward thinking.
Still here today
Exactly.
because of that foresight.
It's a testament to their vision.
Absolutely. And, he brings it to the modern era, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The Wright brothers,
That's a classic example.
everyone's telling them human flight is impossible.
Right, but they just kept going.
But they observed,
They had that vision.
and they literally changed the world.
Absolutely. They shaped the future.
Exactly.
And that's what foresight is all about.
So we know foresight is crucial.
Yeah.
How do we actually develop it?
That's the big question, right?
What are the practical steps?
Well, Riker gets into some specific techniques. One that stood out to me was scenario planning.
Okay.
Like you're mapping out different paths for the future based on, potential risks or opportunities.
Oh, I like that. So you're kind of prepared no matter what happens.
Exactly. You're thinking ahead, you're anticipating.
Yeah.
And he gives some great examples like Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
They actually planned for a recession back in 2008.
Wow.
Which helped them weather the storm when it hit.
Smart.
Right? And then you have companies like Blockbuster or Kodak
Oh, yeah.
who failed to adapt and, well,
Not a good outcome.
not so much.
So foresight is essential.
Yeah.
What about those personal qualities that we need to cultivate for success?
Right, because it's not just about seeing the future, it's about being equipped to handle it.
Exactly. So Reicher dives into this too, talking about things like grit, persistence, discipline.
Those foundational qualities.
Yeah, like the building blocks.
Absolutely. And he backs it up with research.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he cites Angela Duckworth's work on grit.
Okay, I've heard of her.
She studied West Point cadets and found that those with high grit were more likely to succeed regardless of their other abilities.
Interesting.
So it's that tenacity, that stick-to-itiveness
Like that.
that really makes a difference.
Yeah, and strong relationships too, right?
Oh, absolutely. He talks about learning from others, mistakes, having a network of people who've already been there.
Mentors, basically.
Yeah, mentors, advisors, people you can rely on.
And it makes me think of Warren Buffett's advice
Yeah.
to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Absolutely, because you're always learning and growing.
Exactly. And let's not forget work-life balance.
Right, that's huge.
Reicher makes it clear that success isn't about grinding 24/7.
Definitely not sustainable.
It's about setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care.
Exact. Taking care of yourself so you can show up fully.
He even mentions Tim Ferriss, who's all about optimizing your life for both productivity and fulfillment.
Right, finding that balance.
And David Levin, the founder of Anaplan.
Oh, yeah, I remember that example.
He credits his company's success to the time he took away from work to focus on his family.
That's powerful because it shows that you don't have to sacrifice everything for success.
Absolutely.
You can have both.
You got to fill your cup first.
Okay.
So we've got foresight and the personal qualities.
Yeah.
But how do we actually turn all of this into results?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Like, how do we bridge that gap?
Well, Riker dives deep into goal setting.
Okay.
And not just any goals, but SMART goals.
Oh, yes, I've heard of those.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound.
It's all about clarity.
Exactly. He really stresses that.
So instead of I want to be rich,
Right, which is too vague.
it's more like I want to save $25,000 in the next 2 years.
Exact. That's a SMART goal.
It's like
something concrete to work towards.
And it's not enough to just set goals, right?
Of course not. You have to stay motivated.
How do we do that?
Well, Riker suggests incorporating things like meditation.
Right.
Studies show it improves focus.
Makes sense.
And finding accountability partners.
To keep you on track.
Exactly. It's about creating a support system.
That's so important.
It is because, let's face it, things are going to get tough.
Oh, yeah.
There will be challenges and setbacks.
And that brings us to another big topic.
Mental toughness.
Yeah, Riker doesn't sugarcoat it. He says achieving anything worthwhile takes mental fortitude.
It's like building a muscle.
Yeah, he compares winners to people who dream big
Uh-huh.
and don't let their current reality limit those dreams.
I love that because it's about mindset.
Absolutely.
It's about believing in yourself and your vision.
And developing that resilient mindset.
Right. Bouncing back from setbacks.
Not letting those setbacks define you.
Zach, and he uses some really inspiring example.
Right.
Winston Churchill leading Britain through World War II.
Oh, wow.
And J.K. Rowling overcoming poverty and rejection to become a best-selling author.
Those are great examples.
They faced incredible challenges, but they never gave up.
So mental toughness is key.
Absolutely. You can't achieve anything great without it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of heady stuff, but Riker also addresses the emotional side of things.
Oh, yes. He has a whole chapter on
I
mindfulness.
have to admit, I was a bit skeptical at first, but he presents it in a way that's really grounded and practical.
I agree. It's not just some airy-fairy concept.
Yeah, he really brings it down to earth.
Exactly. And he explains how mindfulness can actually rewire your brain.
Oh.
For less stress, improved focus, better emotional regulation.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's about actual tangible benefits.
Exactly. It impacts your entire life.
I've tried some of the techniques and it's really made a difference for me.
It's about being present in your body,
Yeah.
responding to situations with more calm and clarity rather than just reacting.
It's like hitting that pause button
Exactly. You become more aware of your thoughts and emotions.
instead of just operating on autopilot.
Right. You're making conscious choices.
And speaking of conscious choices, the book also delves into personal values and ethics.
Oh, yes. That's crucial.
Riker describes them as your moral compass.
The guiding principles that shape your decisions.
Exactly. And he emphasizes aligning your actions with your values,
Even when it's tough,
even when you're faced with tempting opportunity,
that might require compromising those values,
like a job offer that pays well.
but requires you to do something unethical,
Right. It's a good reminder that sometimes the most difficult choices.
are the ones that define our character.
He also provides examples of individuals who faced similar challenges and stayed true to their principles.
Like Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah, who held firm to his belief in equality.
even when it was politically unpopular.
It's about having that inner strength to do what's right, even when it's hard.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
Foresight, the power of habit, grit, resilience, mindfulness, values, and ethics.
It's a lot to digest.
It is. It's clear that mastering the future is a multifaceted endeavor.
It's a journey.
It is.
And it requires a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in part 2, we'll continue our exploration, delving deeper into specific strategies for managing risk, recognizing opportunities, building your personal brand, and navigating the complexities of human relationships.
It's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. So we're continuing our deep dive into Conrad Riker's Master the Future.
Yes.
And in part 1, we laid the groundwork, talking about foresight, personal quality, some of those core values. Yeah, exactly. Now it's time to get a little bit more tactical
Okay.
and explore some of the specific strategies that Riker outlines for actually achieving success.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So he kicks things off with a topic that's particularly relevant today, risk management,
Oh, yeah. Big one.
something that a lot of people shy away from.
It's essential, though.
It is.
Yeah.
And Riker makes this case for why it's so crucial to not just understand risk, but to actively manage it.
You can't just ignore it and hope it goes away.
Absolutely. And he starts by challenging this notion that we should avoid risk altogether. He argues that in many cases, not taking risks can be the biggest risk of all.
I like that.
It's kind of counterintuitive.
It is, but it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, he brings up companies like Blockbuster and Kodak
Oh, yeah.
who failed to adapt to those changing trends.
They played it too safe.
They did, and they ultimately paid the price. So clinging to the status quo.
Can be just as dangerous as taking a leap of faith.
Yeah, it's like if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind.
Absolutely.
But how do we manage risk without becoming reckless?
Right, that's the key.
What are some practical strategies?
Well, Riker outlines several.
Okay.
One of the most important is diversification.
The old, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. He uses the example of Lehman Brothers,
Oh, yeah.
which collapsed in 2008 because they were overexposed to the subprime mortgage market. Yeah. So spreading your investments, whether it's money, time, energy,
It helps to cushion the blow.
it does. If one area takes a hit, you have others to fall back on.
It's like a safety net.
Exactly.
So diversification is key. What else can we do?
Another important strategy is to really identify those key variables, those uncertainty factors.
What ifs?
Exactly. What could potentially go wrong? How likely is it? And most importantly,
Okay.
what can you do to minimize the damage if it does happen?
So it's like a pre-mortem on your plan.
Exactly. You're thinking through the potential pitfalls.
And coming up with solutions.
Right. So you're not caught off guard.
And staying informed, right?
Oh, absolute. Riker stresses that.
Like keeping up with industry trends, reading widely, talking to experts.
The more you know, the better prepared you'll be.
It's like having a heads up about a storm before it hits.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our risk management strategies in place, but how do we actually go about recognizing and seizing opportunity.
That's where opportunity recognition comes in. Okay. Riker emphasizes the importance of staying attuned to your environment, being a keen observer.
Like noticing those subtle shifts.
Exact. Read industry publications, follow trends on social media, attend conference. It's about constantly absorbing information.
Looking for those gaps in the market.
Right. Where is there a need that's not being met?
But information alone isn't enough.
No. You have to be able to connect the dots, see the patterns, anticipate what's coming next.
You got to be able to put the pieces together.
Yeah. It's about developing that entrepreneurial mindset.
Even if you're not starting a business.
Exactly. It's about being curious, being innovative, and being willing to take calculated risks.
And Riker reminds us that some of the most successful businesses were born out of identifying a need that wasn't being met.
And then creating a solution.
Yeah.
So it's about seeing the possibility.
And being adaptable too, right?
Oh, absolutely. The world is changing so fast.
You got to be able to adjust.
Those who can adapt will be the ones who thrive. So adaptability is...
Okay, so we've talked about recognizing opportunities, but actually capitalizing on them is a whole other challenge.
It is. It takes work.
So what does Riker have to say about that?
Well, he really stresses the importance of discipline and persistence.
Okay.
Achieving any worthwhile goal, whether it's personal or professional, requires consistent effort.
Showing up day after day.
Exact. And being able to stay the course even when things get tough.
Because they will get tough.
They will. He uses some pretty inspiring examples.
Yeah.
Bill Gates dedicating 10,000 hours to mastering programming before founding Microsoft.
Wow.
And then you have Elon Musk,
Oh, yeah.
known for his grueling work ethic, often putting in 100-hour weeks.
It's intense.
It is, but it highlights the principle.
Yeah. Success requires dedication.
And the willingness to put in the time and effort.
You got to be willing to grind.
Absolutely.
And set realistic goals too, right?
And of course, those SMART goals we talked about earlier, they're essential for staying motivated and on track.
Breaking down those large goals into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Exact. It's like eating an elephant one bite at a time.
I like that.
It's about creating a sense of momentum, celebrating those small wins.
And using them to fuel your progress.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about those external aspects of success, but Riker doesn't neglect those internal ones either.
Oh, no. He goes deep on those too,
He dedicates a whole chapter to mental toughness.
which is something you can cultivate.
It's like a muscle you can train.
Exact.
He brings up Winston Churchill and J.K. Rowling again, highlighting how they faced immense challenges.
They never gave up.
He talks about reframing negative experiences as opportunities for growth.
Adopting a growth mindset.
Yeah, setbacks aren't failures.
They're feedback.
I like that.
And he emphasizes developing discipline and self-control.
Okay.
Building good habits, managing your time, effectively staying focused.
Oh yeah, staying focused is tough these days.
It is. There are distractions everywhere, but it's crucial for mental toughness.
It takes a conscious effort.
It does, to resist those temptations and stay focused.
So mental toughness is essential. And so is work-life balance, right? Riker talks about that too.
It's not just about avoiding burnout.
It's about creating a life that's both productive and fulfilling.
Exactly. He brings up Tim Ferriss again.
Oh yeah, Mr. 4-Hour Workweek.
Exactly. All about optimizing your time and energy.
And David Levin, who credits his company's success to the time he took away from work.
The focus on his family.
It's a good reminder that success isn't just about climbing the corporate ladder.
It's about creating a life that's aligned with your values.
And brings you joy.
Exact. Finding that sweet spot.
Okay, so we've covered a lot in this part.
Yeah.
Risk management, opportunity recognition.
Discipline, mental toughness, work-life balance. But there's another key aspect of success that we haven't touched on yet.
And what's that?
Emotional intelligence.
This is where things get really interesting.
It is. Riker dedicates a whole chapter to it.
He does?
And it's packed with insights.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He connects emotional intelligence to influence and persuasion.
Interesting.
He argues that to truly connect with people, you have to understand their emotions, their motivations, their fear.
You got to be able to see things from their perspective.
Exact. It's like speaking their language.
Not just the words, but the emotions behind those words.
Exactly. And Riker breaks down the components of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Empathy, adaptability,
Like a toolbox.
It is a toolbox of skills that allow you to navigate those complex human relationships.
And he provides some practical advice on how to develop those skills.
Oh, yes, he does.
Like active listening.
Truly hearing what the other person is saying.
Not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exact. Recognizing nonverbal cues.
Body language.
Tone of voice.
Sometimes what people don't say is just as important as what they do say.
Absolutely.
And managing your own emotions too.
Yes, that's huge.
Recognizing your triggers, developing coping mechanisms,
Learning to respond with calm and clarity,
rather than just reacting impulsively.
which we've all done.
We have.
It's human nature. But by developing emotional intelligence, we can become more aware of those impulses and choose more constructive path.
It's like having that pause button.
Exactly.
So all this talk about influence and persuasion, it leads naturally to the next topic. Because in today's world, who you know is just as important as what you know.
It's all about connection.
It is. And Riker stresses the importance of building a diverse network.
Mm-hmm.
People from different industries, backgrounds, skill sets
It's like having a Rolodex of experts.
you can tap into.
Exact for advice support opportunities.
He uses some great examples here.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Cuban, Oprah Winfrey.
People who have built vast and influential networks.
It's a reminder that success isn't a solo endeavor.
It takes a village.
It does.
But building a network is one thing.
Right.
How do you actually nurture those relationships?
And make them work for you.
That's the...
So what does Riker suggest?
Well, he gives some really practical advice.
Okay.
Staying in touch, offering value, being genuinely interested in others.
It's about building authentic connections.
Not just collecting business cards.
Building a strong personal brand too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What are you known for? What are your unique strengths and talent?
It's about creating a reputation that precedes you.
Opening doors and creating opportunities.
Zach, he uses the example of Sheryl Sandberg,
Okay.
the COO of Fromba, who's built a strong personal brand as a leader advocate and author.
It's about crafting a narrative that showcases your value.
Exactly.
So we've covered networking, personal branding, and that brings us to another key topic.
Financial foresight and independence.
Yes. Riker argues that true freedom comes from having control over your finances.
Not being beholden to a job or a paycheck. And he provides some practical strategies for achieving that.
Like what?
Investing in income-generating assets. Adopting a frugal lifestyle. Avoiding those common financial pitfalls. And he emphasizes the importance of understanding the principles of investing.
Like diversification.
Risk management, compound interest.
And he doesn't just talk theory.
Oh, no. He gives real-world examples. Peter Thiel's investment in Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Warren Buffett's consistent return.
Yeah, he's the Oracle of Omaha.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that financial success isn't about luck
It's about making smart choices.
and playing the long game.
And he introduces the concept of passive income.
Oh, yes, where your investments generate money without requiring constant effort.
That's the dream.
It is for many of us.
Financial freedom to pursue your passions.
Spend time with loved ones.
Create a life you love.
Absolutely.
But achieving that dream takes foresight, planning, and action.
It does. There's no magic bullet.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this second part.
We have.
Risk management, opportunity, recognition, discipline, mental toughness, emotional intelligence, influence, networking, personal branding, financial savvy.
It's a lot.
It's clear that mastering the future is a complex and multifaceted endeavor,
It requires a holistic approach to life.
but it's also an incredibly rewarding one.
It is.
By applying these principles and strategies,
You can create a life of purpose, intention, and abundance.
that's what we all want.
Exactly.
So in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some of those more subtle but equally important aspects of personal growth and success.
Oh,
The power of habit, the importance of mindfulness, the role of values and ethics, and the transformative potential of continuous learning.
sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Stay tuned. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Master the Future. We've covered so much ground.
We have.
Foresight, risk management, emotional intelligence, even building that solid financial foundation.
Yeah.
But Riker points out there's this whole other layer, and it's often the piece that people miss. So that's where we're focusing today.
Yeah, it's like we're moving into the inner workings of personal growth.
I like that.
It's stuff that might seem small, but really makes all the difference.
So where does Riker suggest we start with this inner work?
He kicks things off with habit. And you know, this resonates with me because it's something we often overlook. Those little things we do day in and day out, almost on autopilot, they really add up to create the big picture of our lives.
Like you are what you repeatedly do.
Exactly.
And speaking of repeated actions, I remember reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. That whole idea of tiny changes done consistently over time, creating massive results.
Right. And Riker builds on that concept. He talks about the importance of not just building good habits, but breaking bad ones.
Which is usually the harder part.
It is. And he offers a really insightful framework for understanding why we have those bad habits in the first place.
Okay.
It's all about identifying the need that the bad habit is fulfilling. Once you figure that out, you can start meeting that need in a healthier way.
So instead of just trying to muscle through with willpower,
Exactly. You're getting to the root cause.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so habits are essential. But what about mindfulness? It's become quite the buzzword lately.
It has, but Riker doesn't shy away from it. He dedicates a whole chapter to mindfulness. And it's not just fluffy stuff. He grounds it in solid research,
Okay.
showing how mindfulness practices can actually rewire your brain for the better, less stress, sharper focus, better control over your emotions.
I'll admit I was a bit of a skeptic at first, but after seeing the research and trying some of the techniques, it's really made a difference for me.
Yeah, it's like having that pause button, right?
Exactly.
You can step back, observe your thoughts and emotions before reacting.
So powerful.
It is.
Now, while mindfulness is about being present in the moment, Riker also emphasizes the importance of having that clear vision for the future. And that's where goal setting comes in. We've already talked about SMART goals, but Riker takes it further.
Oh, yeah.
He says our goals need to be more than just achievable. They need to be meaningful.
They need to align with your core values.
Exactly what truly matters to you. What do you want your life to stand for?
It becomes so much more than just checking boxes.
It does.
It's about creating a life that reflects what's truly important to you.
And speaking of important things, Riker doesn't shy away from the topic of ethics and values either.
Right. He argues that true success isn't just about achieving your goal.
It's about how you achieve them.
Exactly. It's about staying aligned with your moral compass, even when it's tough.
He gives some really powerful examples of individuals who faced ethical dilemmas and held firm to their principles. Abraham Lincoln sticking to his belief in equality, even when it was unpopular. It takes real courage to do what's right, especially when it's hard.
It does, but it's those choices that define us.
Absolutely. And finally, we get to something that I think is incredibly relevant to everyone listening.
What's that?
Continuous learning and growth in a world that's changing so rapidly. Riker argues that knowledge is power. The more you learn, the more adaptable and resilient you become.
He's right about that, and he points to people like Bill Gates and Elon Musk, who are known for their insatiable curiosity and commitment to constant learning.
It's not about being perfect. It's about always striving to learn and grow.
I love that.
Always be learning, always be growing.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Master the Future. It's been quite a journey.
It has.
What are your biggest takeaways?
I think the core message is this: mastering the future isn't about predicting what's going to happen. It's about developing the skills, the mindset, the habits that will allow you to thrive no matter what comes your way.
It's about taking control of your destiny and creating a life that's both successful and fulfilling.
Exact.
If you're ready to dive deeper into all of this, we highly recommend checking out Conrad Riker's Master the Future. You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep mastering your future.